The Northrop B-2 Spirit, sometimes referred to as the stealth bomber, is a heavy penetration strategic American bomber with a low observable stealth technology built for breaching strong anti-aircraft defenses. It has a flying wing design and a two-person crew. The stealth bomber was a challenging undertaking. What is this secret project? What are the developments so far? The United States military sought a replacement for the outdated B-52 bomber in the 1970s. They required a vehicle that could swiftly transport nuclear weapons from the US to the Soviet Union, and they desired it to be almost invisible to hostile sensing technology. As you might think, it's difficult to conceal a huge airliner. The defense company that received the bomber contract, Northrop Grumman, invested enormous sums of money and over 10 years in developing the top-secret project. A finished item is a groundbreaking machine with a 172-foot broad flying wing that radar scanners see as an insect. From an aeronautical standpoint, the craft is equally groundbreaking. Despite lacking any of the typical stabilizing devices found in a regular aircraft, pilots claim it flies as effortlessly as a fighter jet. 80 of these 500-pound bombs, each of which is GPS guided to explode, can fit within the B-52. Each bomb can be set to detonate at a certain target, at a particular altitude, at a particular angle, and at a particular time. These gun groups were fairly small, and the B-2s could attack them with a single pass. The B-2 bomber fleet is based at Whiteman Air Force Base. Only 20 of these stealth bombers are now in the arsenal of the U.S. Air Force. Nearly every branch of the Air Force is represented on B-2 bomber crews. Pilots begin their careers flying different bombers. While some came from the fighter community, others had previously flown tankers and freight carriers before joining the Spirit. These lengthy flights severely disrupt the sleep and waking patterns of the pilots. Deep vein thrombosis, tiredness, and dehydration are additional problems. To replace the USAF's crucial penetration missions, the B-2 Spirit was created. It can penetrate a great distance into an enemy's territory and deliver ordnance, including nuclear weapons. As a flying wing aircraft, the B-2 lacks a fuselage and a tail. It has several advantages over earlier bombers due to its blend of low observable technologies, great aerodynamic efficiency, and enormous payload. Low observability allows for a more maneuverability at high altitudes, expanding the range and field of vision for onboard sensors. The USAF claims that its range is roughly 6,000 nautical miles. The B-2 fuels up to 50 short tons of fuel at a time every 6 hours at cruising altitude. Due to its complicated flying dynamics and technical specifications to maintain very low visibility to numerous means of detection, the B-2's development and construction required the innovative use of computer-aided design and manufacturing technologies. The YB-35 and YB-49, two flying wing bombers that had been shelved in development in the early 1950s, purportedly for political reasons, resemble the B-2 in appearance to earlier Northrop aircraft. The similarities are so strong that B-2 and YB-49 share the same wingspan. The radar cross-section of the YB-49 was also minimal. There are about 80 pilots who fly the B-2. Each aircraft may accommodate a third crew member if necessary, with a pilot sitting in the left seat and the mission commander in the right. The B-1B has a crew of 4, and the B-52 has a crew of 5, for comparison. Unlike most two-seat aircraft, the B-2 is extensively automated, allowing one crew member to sleep in a camp bed, use the lavatory, or cook a hot meal while the other monitors the aircraft. To enhance crew effectiveness on lengthy sorties, an extensive sleep cycle and fatigue study was carried out. In-depth instruction is provided at the USAF Weapons School. The 1980s saw the development of the B-2, formerly known as the Advanced Technology Bomber. To direct radar radiation in the least revealing places, the bomber's external design mixes a range of complicated, large-radius curved surfaces. Because it lacks vertical fin stabilizers, it uses flaps on the trailing edge of its notched wing to control roll, pitch, and yaw. The B-2 costs more than $1 billion per aircraft, making it the most costly aircraft in the world. 132 of the bombers were supposed to be built initially. 20 operational bombers and 1 experimental plane were produced up until the 1990s, when the Cold War came to an end. Although the bomber still has a nuclear capacity, the B-2's primary objective has been modified to deliver conventional missiles. The Northrop B-2 program was a black project during its conception and development. All program staff required a secret clearance. Even so, it wasn't as secretive as the Lockheed F-117 program. More federal employees were aware of the B-2, and there was more information available. The security of the B-2's design and technologies has received a lot of attention, both during development and in service. Most, if not all, employees who work on the B-2 must have a level of special access clearance and pass thorough background checks conducted by a unique division of the USAF. Since making its initial flight 30 years ago, the B-2 has achieved several notable feats. The stealth bomber flew less than 1% of all flights during its storied combat debut in Operation Allied Force, but it killed 33% of the objectives in the first 8 weeks of the battle. A 44-hour air combat operation by the B-2 in 2001 also broke a record. Due to its capacity to sneak into hostile terrain, it has been used in the initial stages of various conflicts, including Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Odyssey Dawn, and Operation Odyssey Lightning. The Air Force gets ready to transition to a primary stealth air force of low observable bombers, fighters, and weapons. The success of this aircraft, which is the only one in the country to combine stealth, long range, high payload, and precision munitions, cannot be understated. The manned bomber's piercing versatility and efficacy are offered by the B-2. It has the exceptional capacity to breach an adversary's most advanced defenses and threaten its most valuable and well-defended targets thanks to its low observable or stealth features. It offers a powerful, effective deterrence and fighting force long into the 21st century, thanks to its capacity to breach air defenses and threaten effective reprisal. A total of 80 500-pound class Mk-82 JDAM GPS-guided bombs or 16 2,400-pound B-83 nuclear bombs are among the conventional and nuclear weapons the bomber is capable of dropping. The only known aircraft that can carry massive air-to-surface standoff weapons while flying stealthily is the B-2. The National Museum of the United States Air Force, located close to Dayton, Ohio, opened its doors to the public in 2004. The B-2 test item, the second of two constructed without engines or instruments and used for static testing, is on display there. Before the airframe failed, the test component passed all structural testing standards. The broken airframe was put back together after more than a year by the museum's restoration. The Spirit of Ohio B-2, which was used to test the design's durability in extremely cold and hot conditions, is marked to mimic the exhibition airframe. The artwork, Fire and Ice, which was painted and signed by the specialists who carried out the temperature testing, is displayed on the nose wheel door of the Spirit of Ohio. The museum's Cold War gallery features the repaired test aircraft. At the Guam Anderson Air Force Base in February 2010, a B-2 was involved in a major mishap. The affected aircraft was an AV-11 Spirit of Washington. The aeroplane endured 18 months of repairs after being severely damaged by fire while it was on the ground, allowing it to fly back to the mainland U.S. for more extensive repairs. Spirit of Washington was fixed and put back into service in December 2013. The USAF was unprepared to handle tailpipe fires on B-2s at the time of the mishap. The B-2 Spirit of Georgia had to land at Whiteman AFB in an emergency on the night of September 13 to 14, 2021. The plane touched down, veered off the runway, landed in the grass, and came to rest on its left side. The problem was ultimately found to be due to micro-cracking in the aircraft's hydraulic connections and defective landing gear springs. The left landing gear's lock-link springs produced around 11% less tension than required and were most likely older than 10 years. The micro-cracking diminished the landing gear's hydraulic support. The landing gear was able to fold as a result of these issues. At least $10.1 million in repair damages were caused by the accident, although in March 2022, the precise repair cost was still being calculated. A B-2 had to make an emergency landing at Whiteman Air Force Base on December 10, 2022 due to an in-flight problem. There were no casualties to any crew members, including the flying crew, and the post-crash fire was swiftly put out. There are no reports of the malfunction's cause or the extent of the damage as of mid-December 2022, but the incident is being looked into. All B-2s have now been grounded. Would the stealth bomber be the next sensation? What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments.